It has been a very weird couple of weeks for Nintendo fans. Usually, at this point, we already have release dates for everything coming out in the holiday season, and right now, the only games we have dated are Kirby and the Forgotten Lands DLC, that's at the end of August, and then we have Pokemon in October. We have 2, maybe 3 games that are supposedly coming out this year from a first party, but then you also have a couple of highly anticipated third-party games. It's been very weird how quiet Nintendo has been. This seems to be a shift in their marketing strategy. Over the years, we've seen them getting more and more to the, have an announcement very close to the release of a game. It seems like they're going to take that a step further now and start really focusing on one game and their marketing at a time. And unfortunately, what makes this entire situation feel very strange is that August really was the month of Dragon Drive and some Kirby DLC. So that is what we are talking about in today's video. We're going to take a look at all of the news we are waiting for from Nintendo and talk about just when we can expect it. There's so much from Kirby Air Riders. Last night, Sakurai teased that news is coming soon. Well, when is that news coming, Sakurai? How soon is soon? We also have stuff like the Mario 40th Anniversary Direct, which entails and encompasses a lot of things like Mario Kart World DLC. A lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that that game is washed. That game is New Horizons 2.0. I disagree, but clearly Nintendo's marketing has not been... They have not been the most open as they usually would, especially at the top of a new console generation. You would think they'd want to really communicate with fans when to expect certain games, but that is what we are talking about today. Just what is going on with Nintendo's lineup for the remainder of 2025 and beyond. Of course, if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Switch 2 news, discussion, speculation, all that fun stuff, I would appreciate you liking the video and subscribing. Let's get into it. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the channel. I hope your week has gone well. I haven't been uploading too much on this channel recently, and that I just don't think there's really that much to talk about. I could have done daily anniversary direct prediction videos. I could have done daily Dragon Drive hype videos, I suppose, but honestly, when Nintendo is being so quiet, I'd rather just take a step back than just mindlessly speculate every single day. You know, I'd rather just kind of let the silence from Nintendo speak for itself. But they have been so quiet recently that I feel like today was finally the day. I just need to hop on here and talk about what's going on, because it is weird how quiet they have been this time in particular. The only other time in the company's history that I can think of where they were truly just this quiet and they, held their cards this close to their chest was back in 2020. During COVID, where we didn't know about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity at all until September. Same thing with the Mario 35 Direct, same thing with Mario Kart Live was in there, as well as 3D All-Stars and Mario 35 itself. I want to say they made a few other announcements that September, but that was the only other year this has happened. And understandably so, because, well, there was a worldwide pandemic. They didn't know if things would get pushed around or delayed. And honestly, we're 5 years removed from that now. I kind of hoped we wouldn't have to see a marketing cycle like that from Nintendo again, but it looks like that's going to be their strategy moving forward, in that we are going to focus on one game at a time, and that is it. And unfortunately, for the hype cycle, if that's what you're really worried about, unfortunately, August was the month of Dragon Drive and Kirby DLC, which, hey, Dragon Drive, I played a lot last night, honestly. Not the worst thing in the world. I was really negative on it from my preview in April, and then also the little bit I played of the Global Jam. I had more fun with it last night with the full game, because you have all these different side activities, and, going for trophies always makes something more fun for me. So Dragon Drive, I mean, it's a $20 eShop game, not a huge deal. And then you have Kirby DLC, which, I mean, I love Forgotten Land. That's one of my favorite games of the entire Switch era. It's Kirby DLC. I don't know. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. As excited as I am to play it, it's just DLC for a game we already have. So we haven't had a truly new experience since Bonanza came out, and in between that, we had the Jamboree TV DLC. So we've had a lot of smaller scale projects that really have not reviewed that well. Jamboree TV and Dragon Drive especially didn't review all that well. So it's just been a very quiet, kind of disappointing time to be a Switch 2 owner. There are other things going on. There are other third-party games releasing that are great, but if you come to Nintendo for the first-party bangers, there's been stuff to play. It's just been not the highest quality stuff that you would expect, especially, 2 months after the new console release. But yeah, like I was saying, it feels like, ever since the Switch 2 was announced, they've really just focused on one game at a time, Mario Kart into Bonanza. And then you have your interstitials, like your Jamboree TV. But then for the past 2 or 3 weeks, it really has just been Dragon Drive. Of course, we had the partner showcase, which, alleviated that a little bit for those who play third-party games on a Switch 2. But it's been a weird time. Usually by now we would have something concrete And I guess to be fair, we do have Pokemon slated for October 16th, so there is something there, but also Pokemon Company operates on their own accord. If it was up to Nintendo, honestly, I'm not convinced that game would have a release date right now. I feel like that was a Pokemon Company decision, but let's talk about Kirby Air Riders. So late last night, Masahiro Sakurai went to Twitter and posted this. Now, this was translated by our good friend Grok over on X here, but he said, "It doesn't matter to most people, but today Sora Co. is celebrating its 20th anniversary. Big milestone for Sakurai, very exciting. That's a long time. Thank you for your continued support. The new game, Kirby Air Riders, hasn't even shown gameplay footage yet, but I think we will be able to share some information soon. Please wait." Now, this is kind of a nothing burger. Obviously, they're going to share some information soon. I would hope so. He's even addressing the fact that they haven't even shown gameplay footage yet, which is kind of insane when you think about it. I mean, this game is supposedly coming out in the next 3 months or so, and they haven't even shown gameplay footage yet, but he thinks they will be able to share some information soon. Now, I think the pretty fair and logical conclusion to jump to here is that one, Sakurai just reading the room, it's like, okay, well, yeah, there's going to be something soon for this game. It's coming out this year, unless it gets delayed, which I don't think it will. My logical jump is that there is a September Direct. I think we are going to get an early September Direct, like maybe, honestly, maybe even end of August Direct. We saw that last year with the Partner Showcase. I think we are looking at a full General Direct, probably early September, but maybe end of August. That does finally open the floodgates. It's just going to be weird because, well, in the case of Metroid Prime 4, if that game comes out in, let's say, early October, you know, even if it is September, whatever, that just feels so late because right now we have nothing for September from Nintendo. Is that going to remain the case? Are we going to have no first-party release from them in September? It's not impossible. I think that'd be very weird, and I think that'd be a big mistake. If anything, at that point, I think they should have moved Kirby DLC or even just Drag and Drive Around or the Mario Party DLC so that there's one thing every single month. Maybe they have a big third-party game slated for that month, because even right now, you know, there are some exciting third parties on Switch 2 in September. Daemon X Machina is a big one. Star Wars Outlaws, Chronos The New Dawn. But really, the biggest title of September on all platforms is Borderlands 4, and that's not coming to Switch 2 until October. So to me, I look at September, there's just this big empty Nintendo void. There needs to be some sort of first-party game in September. If we don't have that dated by early September, it's going to be weird. If let's say it's Prime 4. I know a lot of people are still clinging on to hope Prime 4 is a September game. Are we really going to get a Direct September 5th, we'll say? I don't know what the exact date would be. Are we going to get a Direct that week? And then 2 weeks later, Prime 4 is out? That just feels hard to believe. But also, we've never really seen them do this aside from back in 2020. And to the point, we had that Mario Anniversary Direct at the beginning of September, and then 3D All-Stars came out just a few weeks later. A little bit of a different scenario, in my opinion. 3D All-Stars is old games. It's not a new game. Doesn't necessarily need as much marketing as Metroid, certainly, because, well, it's Mario. I personally think it would be a mistake if the September game is Metroid at this point, because, well, I think Metroid Prime 4 just needs more marketing. I think they really need to have a big blowout trailer for that game and then really ramp up the marketing over the course of months, ideally, you know? So, in my opinion, I would say September's off the table for that game. However, I do think it's possible something else slots in there. If we get a Mario 40th Anniversary Direct, if we get something like a 3D All-Star Switch 2 edition, or a new Super Mario Bros. Collection, or even just Galaxy 2 by itself, I think that makes more sense at this point as like a September release, some sort of shadow dropped September release. Maybe you get something else in there, like a Switch 2 edition, Pikmin 4, maybe that could be shadow dropped. Woolly World is one that we've talked about a lot as a Switch 1 game. I think those make more sense now as we, count down the clock instead of Prime 4. But and this is the final thing I'll say on Prime 4 for this video, I'm not even ruling out the possibility that we get a September Direct, right? We get a big Direct in September, maybe end of August. I'm not ruling out the possibility that on, let's say, August, what would that be, like 19th or so, sometime next week, we wake up one day and there is a big trailer for Metroid Prime 4, maybe even a Prime 4 Direct in of itself. So far, we've had, I would say, 2 major Switch 2 releases from Nintendo, being Mario Kart and DK Bonanza, and they both have had their own Nintendo Directs. Prime 4 seems, well, it seems primed for a Nintendo Direct. I feel like there's a lot to say about that game. I feel like there's a lot to show in terms of maybe a special edition controller, maybe an amiibo, maybe, you know, you have the release date itself, obviously, you have new abilities and areas to show, more story stuff. Like, there's enough there for them to do a 15-minute Direct on that game, in my opinion. Even if some of the information that they go over is, you know, treading on old ground, that certainly didn't stop the Mario Kart Direct earlier this year. I think a Prime 4 Direct could just as easily pop up next week, and then if that happens, then yeah, I think maybe a September release date becomes a little bit more likely. As for Kirby Air Riders, I would say that's my most anticipated Switch 2 game for the rest of the year. Sakurai hasn't been free from a Smash in over 10 years now. The last time he made a Kid Icarus Uprising, which in my opinion is one of the best 3DS games. I think Kirby Air Riders is going to be very, very good. I have no real fear that it's not going to come out. I mean, Sakurai is a workhorse, and his team, I know he works his team very hard, so I feel like that game is safe for 2025. I do think it'll come out this year. However, and I've been saying this since they announced it, I think it's a December game, so that one has a little bit more leeway. It's still crazy we haven't even seen it yet, but if we get a September Direct, they do a big gameplay reveal, maybe in October or November, they do a full Sakurai Presents showing the game in even more detail. I think that's fine. Like, that is more than enough time to properly market Kirby Air Riders, in my opinion. And then the other elephant in the room is Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. What is going on here, man? I still am scratching my head at that partner showcase trailer that gave us basically no new information. You know, they teased that Minoru's construct that seems to be not really the same construct. I don't really know what's going on there. I haven't watched the theory videos, but we don't have a release date for it. They've been very cagey, saying it's this winter and not winter 2025 or winter 2026, just this winter. Is that game actually releasing this calendar year? I still lean towards yes. I don't think you announce your console with a Warriors game and that Warriors game doesn't release the same year. That might sound weird, and I mean, you know, Koei Tecmo, Nintendo, they can do whatever they want. If it's a January title, that's fine. It just feels weird to me to, in April, tease a new Hyrule Warriors game and then it's not out by the end of the year. Out of every game they showed in that showcase, Hyrule Warriors is one of the 2026 games. I don't know. It just feels wrong to me. We have already had our Zelda games for this year, kind of, with the Switch 2 upgrades for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but I feel like having Hyrule Warriors on top of Kirby and on top of Metroid Prime 4, like, that is the holiday trifecta this year, with maybe some Mario Anniversary stuff thrown in as well. I think that's like the perfect lineup, at least, you know, given the hand we've been dealt. We want to have these games out this year so that 2026 can be a clean slate with Tomodachi Life, Rhythm Heaven Groove, Dusk Bloods, and whatever else. Splatoon Raiders, I guess, would be another big question mark. And I guess if we get a September Direct, then yes, Splatoon Raiders better show up there, right? I mean, why they even announce that game? That's what I'm saying, man. The marketing this time around has been so weird. They announced Splatoon Raiders, I want to say, was it the week after the Switch 2 came out, like 5 days later? Why did they do that? They came out, they showed that trailer, they tease it. Very exciting that we're getting a proper Splatoon spinoff right now. It seems very intriguing, but to announce it, give us no release window, really no information on what the game actually is, and then just peace out and not give us any other first-party news for 2 months, I don't know. It just feels a little odd right now. And then, of course, we're talking about a Mario Anniversary Direct. I personally don't think we're going to get one. I think we will get a September Direct. I think they'll roll all of those announcements into that. They might even have a whole segment being like, hey, it's Mario's anniversary, and just kind of include it in that presentation. But what is going on with Mario Kart World? I mean, in reality, it's only been, 2 months since the game came out. We got a huge patch a couple of weeks ago that changed a bunch of balancing. People at first thought they fixed the online random matchmaking. They didn't. Mario Kart World, it feels like we should have a roadmap by now, especially when that is their first $80 game. You would think, okay, well, we're paying $80. Give us an idea of when we can expect new content. And they've just been quiet about it, to the point where I'm seeing, you know, comparisons to New Horizons, where it feels like that game snuck up on Nintendo. They had no idea they were going to need to support it for years to come. And it took a year and a half to get the Happy Home Paradise, DLC for that game. I don't think Mario Kart World is going to share the same fate. I think that game already does have a big DLC planned. I do think it is Donkey Kong themed. I know it's the most obvious prediction for what the DLC will be for Mario Kart World, but I mean, doing a DK themed DLC expansion, like, it's just so perfect for the timing, the lack of costumes for DK and Pauline in that game right now. The lack of DK representation in general is, a concern. So I think we will get a DK themed expansion, and I do think that'll come out maybe that's your September game. I think that might be disappointing for a lot of people, and I don't think it would be the only thing. I think at that point, maybe you get like a Switch 2 edition of Mario Wonder alongside it, but a big Mario Kart World expansion would go a long way right now, I think, to making people feel reinvigorated with their Switch 2 purchase, but also just reinvigorating that game, because right now, I mean, I haven't touched it since before Bonanza came out, right? Like, I've done all the content, I've played enough of online, I've had my fill. I need some more content, some new tracks, maybe a new section of the world map with more P-switches, more, single-player content. We need some sort of big expansion for that game that, mixes it up. And I do think that is coming. I think it'll be out this year. It's just a matter of, well, they have to announce it one of these days, right? And then the final thing I wanted to touch on in today's video is third parties real quick. So, of course, we have Elden Ring, and I want to say Final Fantasy VII Remake. They're going to be playable at PAX West as well as Gamescom. So if you want to see some videos on both of those, I'll be at PAX West. I can cover them for you all, see how they run. I'm very excited for both of these on Switch 2, especially 7 Remake. I've already played this game, but one of my favorite games ever. I'm happy it's coming to Switch 2 and Xbox. More people will play a great game. No release dates for either of these, and they're supposedly coming out very soon. Now, Elden Ring is slated for 2025, the Tarnished Edition from Bandai Namco, and then 7 Remake is kind of in a similar situation like Age of Imprisonment, where it just says winter, this winter. I think 7 Remake might be next year, just because Square Enix's lineup right now is pretty packed. They have Dragon Quest in October, they have Octopath Zero in December. I guess that leaves November open, so maybe it's a November title. But I'm feeling January on that one. And then Elden Ring, I actually think that could be out as soon as September, and that could be like, essentially the big September game for Nintendo fans. Not what a lot of people would want to hear, I don't think, but I do think that game will be a huge success on Switch 2. I'll definitely be there double dipping to play again. But other than those two, I'm not really expecting any other major third-party revelations this year, so to speak. I don't think we're gonna, randomly get Kingdom Hearts ports. I don't think we're going to see all the Resident Evil remakes come over all at once this year. We'll get more announcements in the September Direct. There will be some various small things that pop up, but I think what we had in that partner showcase was essentially the lineup for the rest of the year. Sparking Zero, Persona 3 Reload, Chronos The New Dawn. That's what we're looking at in terms of third-party support on Switch 2 in 2025. With all that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of Nintendo's current marketing strategy, where they are lingering on one game at a time, then moving to the next thing? Are we going to have 2 weeks now of Kirby DLC marketing? I think we might. I'm hoping there's something else smaller on there, maybe a Prime 4 Direct. Of course, we do have Chibi Robo dropping on Switch Online in just a couple of days. I'm actually very excited to play that for the first time. I've never played the original Chibi Robo, but it is an old game. But it's nice, nice to have in between everything else going on. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How do you feel about the current marketing? When do you think we will finally see release dates and new trailers for all of these games? Do you think there will be a September Direct? Do you think they'll just drop them on Nintendo Today? Nintendo Today seems kind of dead. I mean, they've still been updating it. They'll whenever they make a big announcement, they'll put it on there. But I wonder if internally that strategy has already shifted, because it feels like that was a miss. It was cool leading up every day to the Switch 2 launch, having some sort of new thing to look at, but there hasn't really been anything on there since Splatoon Raiders was announced, and that was over 2 months ago. So it's a weird time to be a Nintendo fan. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch 2 videos. Until next time, folks. Peace.